When darkness permeates the land, and creatures cry out to slake their thirst in blood, a hero always rises to meet the oncoming dread, wielding a divine whip known simply as the Vampire Killer. Bane of all that walks in the night, this sacred weapon is forever entrusted to a member of the Belmont clan, a lineage bound by destiny to banish evil and return the foreboding castle of darkness, Castlevania, back into slumber. But have you ever wondered where the Vampire Killer originated? In the original Castlevania, on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Simon Belmont wields the weapon with finesse against the denizens of darkness in 1691 AD, but the origin of this legendary relic remains shrouded in mystery. All we know is that it's the only weapon capable of sending Dracula back to his coffin, along with his nightmarish minions. Feeling that the series was stagnating and craving a cohesive timeline, Koji Igarashi envisioned Castlevania Lament of Innocence as the franchise's genesis. Simply called Castlevania in Japanese, this installment conjures a tale of tragedy and vengeance, centering on Leon Belmont and his fateful clash with the vampire Walter, who has kidnapped his beloved. The game ambitiously seeks to unveil the origin story of the Belmont clan, the Vampire Killer, and even Dracula himself, released exclusively on the Sony PlayStation 2 between 2003 and 2004, and later appearing on the PlayStation Network between 2012 and 2013, Lament of Innocence remains largely locked to older consoles. But the question remains, is it worth tracking down and playing today? Let's find out. We are placed into the boots of Leon Belmont, a former knight of the church, who forsakes his title to pursue the vampire that has abducted his betrothed, Sarah Trantor. His journey leads him into the shadowy forest of Eternal Night, where a magical barrier traps him in perpetual darkness. Here, Leon encounters Rinaldo Gandolfi, a mysterious alchemist living on the outskirts of the vampire's domain. With bridled anticipation, Rinaldo offers his aid, gifting Leon a simple leather whip, the first step toward its eventual evolution into the Vampire Killer. He also enchants Leon's gauntlet with alchemy, enabling him to block enemy attacks and siphon their magic to wield legendary relics. With a word of caution at what the young hero may face, he promises aid in the form of items in exchange for cash, whenever Leon needs rest and recuperation from the horrors that he'll face. Leaving Rinaldo's cabin, the game paints a stark contrast between the warmth of the alchemist's humble abode and the creeping dread of the surrounding forest. The wooden cabin, nestled amidst towering conifers, exudes a comforting glow, a brief respite and rest point between sprints into the castle on Leon's harrowing quest. A narrow path wends its way through the forest, flanked by large trees that stand as silent sentinels and witnesses to the unfolding ordeal. Craggy boulders jut from the earth, resembling the jagged fingernails of a slumbering giant. At the path's end looms the vampire's castle, as eternal as the night, its labyrinthine halls designed to confound and ensnare any who dare enter. A blood-red moon casts an ominous aura over the scene, setting the tone for the horrors that wait within. This atmospheric introduction pulls you into Leon's mindset, his resolve steeled by love, yet shadowed by the fear of what he may discover within the unknown depths. As you guide Leon through the castle's haunted corridors, you'll quickly notice a certain stiffness in his movement. Attacking with the whip requires deliberate timing, as once you commit to an attack, Leon is locked into the animation until it completes. This means you'll need to strategize your strikes carefully, as dodging mid-combo isn't an option. Leon's quick step won't cancel attacks, so learning enemy patterns and when to strike is crucial. Fortunately, most foes telegraph their moves clearly, giving observant players a distinct advantage. However, if you tend to panic mash buttons, you'll find that Leon may soon learn the limits of his resolve and his untimely demise. Though before it comes to that, Leon may use items that he has collected in his journey to replenish any of his missing health, be it via potions or food that his enemies conveniently seem to be carrying and drop upon defeat. A word of caution though, items need to be used real time. The game will not pause for you whilst Leon struggles to juggle and chug a potion, so make sure you are well out of enemy reach when you decide to take this risk. Keep an eye out for enemies that flash purple, as this means they are about to commit to a powerful attack. With precise timing, you can raise Leon's gauntlet in defense to absorb the assault, converting the kinesthetic energy into MP. Using a perfect guard to disarm an enemy yields both MP and a small pool of hearts, so it's worth learning the timing for this. The MP earned can be used as fuel to power relics that Leon has collected through his travels, though I found most of them unnecessary in comparison to the trustiness of the lash of his whip and an arsenal of sub-weapons. Unlike other Belmonts who can perform an item crash on a sub-weapon, Leon's armaments can be augmented by the power of orbs obtained from defeated bosses. There are 7 orbs in total, each providing a unique effect to each of the sub-weapons. One of my favourites projected the Holy Cross in a straight line, perfect for dispatching distant and difficult enemies. That is, until I came face to face with a boss that completely nullified its effect. Well, it was worth a shot. Or a cross. Leon has natural athleticism to assist with traversing the castle, equipped with a double jump that allows him to reach higher places, and the reach of the whip to secure passage over and across obstacles that his faculties alone would not allow him to overcome. Just be careful, as there is a certain edge of lethargy to his movement, and he often seems to come up against invisible barriers when attempting to jump across platforms, which overall felt stiff and unwieldy. Of particular concern are 2 rooms that are cast into complete darkness, where the game expects you to make blind leaps of faith to find secure footing, and if you fall, you are returned back to the last threshold that you entered from. It was very frustrating, but not something that a determined player couldn't overcome given time. In all, there are 6 unique locations that Leon must fight his way through to first gain 5 orbs that will shatter a barrier in the entry hall, and then gain access to where Walter resides in the upper levels. Unlike Symphony of the Night where the castle is interconnected, and unlocking new abilities presents opportunities to traverse the castle in different ways, Lament of Innocence grants Leon all his skills from the beginning, and isolates the stages with no means to travel directly between them. Upon entering the castle, Leon will eventually come to a hub room where 5 platforms wait to whisk him off to a different area of the castle. From the House of Sacred Remains, where church pews lay stacked in the corners, as discarded as the forgotten hymns that used to fill the halls with prayer, to the garden forgotten by time, where skeletal plants cast their dire vigil over shattered greenhouses, Leon must battle his way forward. I enjoyed the differences between the locations, and the detail to the backdrops of each which most player wouldn't even experience if they were too focused on rushing through the various rooms and corridors, which can be easy to do due to the frenetic nature of the game's combat. As Leon completes each of the areas, he returns to Ronaldo's cabin, where he will take some time to debrief about his encounters. Through these interactions, it's learned that Ronaldo's daughter had once been taken by Walter, which is why he now resides nearby, in the hopes that someone will eventually come along that is strong enough to take the vampire down. He knows that this is no easy feat, but has a method of empowering the leather whip that he gifted to Leon with an innocent soul that will provide it the strength to strike down the Lord of the Night, who took away his everything. I enjoyed that the act of imbuing the whip with the soul of a person taken by the vampiric curse, who willingly allows themselves to be slain so their soul can create the vampire killer, marries with the subtitle of the game, Lament of Innocence. Leon is lamenting the fact that he must slay the one he loves, an innocent person dragged into the machinations of those in power, to bring the vampire to justice and protect future generations. It's kind of sad that the whole process was contrived by Matthias, a man that was supposed to be Leon's friend and confidant, all because the tactician wanted to be immortal and hated the fact that the world took away his own love through sickness, and he casts the blame for this upon God. I felt that overall the motive for the ongoing struggle between the Belmont clan and Dracula was well founded, if a little corny in its delivery. But then, what is Castlevania without a little bit of camp? The characters of Lament of Innocence were designed by Ayumi Kojima, who often uses Baroque and Renaissance visuals as influence for her work, which generally feature flowing fabrics, intricate armour, and ghostly pale complexions. The appearance of Leon Belmont embodies the aesthetic sensibilities of Kojima, blending European aristocracy with a knightly, almost poetic elegance. His white surcoat with red trim aptly captures the saintly nature of his former profession, whilst highlighting the innocent blood on his hands by means of his beloved, killed in a ritual to stop the vampire, Walter. The red and white together almost brings forth the image of a Templar knight, though obviously not in the same way. The level designs are also brilliant, using 3D textures and assets to bring Castlevania to life in a way that pays homage to its 2D predecessors, whilst moving the series forward in a more developed way. Take the House of Sacred Remains for example. Leon sets foot into a grand cathedral featuring religious iconography with a creeping sense of decay. Stained glass windows cast dim light upon ruined pews and crumbling archways, while golden candelabras and towering statues hint at forgotten holy doctrine. I especially liked that further in, if you rotate the camera in some of the corridors, you may catch decrepit skeletons holding onto the bars of cages, as though priests had been locked here to die. It all invokes a level of gravitas that the 2D games also managed to carry in their unique environments, and I loved this continuity. Once again, Michiru Yamane masterfully blends the Baroque Gothic orchestration and electronic instruments into a veritable symphony, perfectly capturing the game's dark and tragic atmosphere. Unlike the heavy rock influences of some earlier titles, Lament of Innocence leans more into an elegant, symphonic style, weaving harpsichords with choral arrangements, and haunting strings that evoke a sacred beauty and a sense of dread. Of all the tracks, my favourite is Leon's theme, which impresses a sorrowful melody that incorporates the raging fury that our protagonist embodies toward his adversary. The track delivers a message of vengeance with a sharp piano overture that delivers firm beats through a dramatic progression of dual keys that shift to delicate sorrow and determined strength through its melodic phrasing, making it a unique and intimate character-driven composition. Castlevania Lament of Innocence is an ambitious attempt to lay the foundation for the Belmont legacy, and whilst it doesn't always hit the mark in gameplay fluidity or level design, it excels in atmosphere, environmental storytelling, and its sheer aesthetic appeal. The game's gothic architecture, haunting soundtrack, and rich thematic depth make it a worthy entry into the series, even if its combat and exploration lack the polish of other titles. Leon Belmont's journey is one of duty, sacrifice, and tragedy, and through his tale we see the birth of the eternal conflict between the Belmonts and Dracula. Ayumi Kojima's Baroque-inspired character designs, Michiru Yamane's sweeping orchestral score, and the game's dark, poetic nature all contribute to an experience that feels distinctly Castlevania, even as it experiments with new ideas. That said, whether Lament of Innocence is worth tracking down today depends on what you're looking for. If you're after a fast-paced, interconnected castle experience, akin to Symphony of the Night, you may find its rigid combat and segmented structure a little frustrating. But if you appreciate a dark origin story steeped in gothic elegance, backed by a beautifully haunting soundtrack and a visual style that respects the series' legacy, then it's absolutely worth stepping into Leon Belmont's boots, if only to witness the birth of the vampire killer firsthand. By the way, do you like when a developer decides to retroactively timeline their games? Let me know in the comments. This has been Venoir with a review of Castlevania Lament of Innocence for the Sony PlayStation 2. If you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe for more great Metroidvania content. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves, and bye bye for now.